I'd like to call the meeting to order. And do I have a motion to convene into executive session for pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, job performance of a person who has been notified in advance in writing and advised that they may require that the discussion be held in open session meeting.
And a motion was yesterday.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to open up the open session, and I want to report out that in executive session, no votes were taken. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We wanted to make sure that tonight's presentation again was televised so people can go back and review the tape. So without any further ado, I'll bring it over to Rob and Linda to talk about if you want to do the capital first or the operating first, whichever you choose.
Thank you. Good evening. Are we going to be able to share? We would want the other one. I believe it was up earlier. I was looking at the one pager first. So exactly. Thank you. So tonight we were going to just give a very, very, very brief recap because tonight is really about time for others to share their thoughts, feedback, questions. With that said, before I go, and I will pass this off to Rob quickly, but before I just want to acknowledge and thank our leadership team for being here and let folks know they are here tonight. They have been an integral part of our work together and collaboratively on the FY27 budget and actually the capital improvement program that we'll be sharing with you tonight as well. And I'm grateful for their leadership through this. We we earlier this month at the school committee meeting for the month of March shared an overview for a budget that's based on data, feedback, school improvement planning, strategic planning, and really the essential needs of our students. And I'm proud of the work and the commitment that we have all done together to share what ultimately came to a proposed budget of $29,280,825. So we'll talk through this proposed budget. I also want to share tonight that we will discuss what's a contingency plan. So of course we are in March entering into April, but we are still some time off of July. And there are still many unknowns in the world, and especially with respect to our revenue. And so in the event that life doesn't land the way we've projected it to land in this budget, we wanted to share at a very high level what areas we would be adjusting or considering re-examining for the best way to approach this. So at the end of the day, you know that we have contingencies planned and we'll share that at a high level with everybody tonight. Other than that, we're not really gonna dig into the FY27 budget too much, but I did want to share this one document that's available is kind of the one-stop shopping for the budget report. And on this one pager, which has been sent out, shared with everybody, linked off of our meetings, there's a budget report, the budget presentation. There's also a glossary of frequently asked questions, and then the video. And the video is the presentation of the last school committee meeting where everybody shared their goals, the essential elements of the budget, and drivers of the budget, and the details. And then lastly, what's linked off of this is a survey where we're asking to collect feedback or questions. If you don't feel comfortable enough or don't have time to kind of reach out or make a phone call, you can always use that feedback form. And so I'm going to pass this off to Rob, but we'll open up the budget presentation. So if we could have, if you could click the link. Thank you, Quentin. on the budget presentation right below that budget report. Thank you. No, you were at the right place. That's perfect. And then you want to go right to and then on that first page, we have slide number 19. So this is the original presentation that was given, and we updated on March 24th to add one slide, which included a contingency plan. And so Rob's going to step us through that. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So one common question that has come up has been, what will happen if state aid comes in lower than projected? Now, there are other potential unfavorable possibilities as well, like other costs could come in higher. But we did project state aid to be flat, and the January estimate is $300,000 less. So what happens if something like that an unfavorable variance comes to our projection? Well, we have been looking at just our operations, and we're looking for inefficiencies that we could adjust or make changes to in order to recoup some of those savings without affecting anything that's going on in the classroom or any of the classrooms. So the first would be, for instance, reduce transportation costs. We've already had one meeting with our transportation provider, and we're looking at the potential to streamline and maybe eliminate redundant bus routes, and that could help us out. Another one is that we're looking at ways that we could possibly streamline the way we deliver services to our special education students. We have in our budget planned for this time next year to purchase the replacement Chromebooks for the following year. So this would be for fiscal 28, not for fiscal 27, although the purchase is planned for fiscal 27. We could work to extend the use of those Chromebooks, the current Chromebook fleet, in order to postpone that purchase for 1 year. Again, not desired, but it's a possibility. More than that, we have non-instructional purchase services that we've been looking at, and we see the possibility, if needed, to reduce the use of those purchase services and our expenditures. And then finally, we're looking at the use of grant funding, both competitive grant funding and non-competitive grant funding, that we could use to offset some of the smaller program expenses, and maybe augment a little bit of some of the instructional, like PD and that sort of thing that we do. So a combination of that. The bottom line is that we've already prepared. We're already trying to identify areas where we could target inefficiencies, streamline them, and then kind of recoup those costs and use those to offset any unfavorable variance in our revenue. So thank you very much.
So $300,000 is a lot of money. Hypothetically, if that right now that's what state aid is projecting to come in, so we'll be short 300,000. And I think it's great that you've come up with a plan. Do you see this? I know this is a high level. Do you see this coming to 300 or 200, 150? Are we going to be like?
No. So two things. Well, I guess let me first make a plug. I know that residents in other communities right now who are faced with the same things are saying, and so this is more to the camera, but talk to your members in the General Assembly and lobby, because I'm telling you right now, the folks in Cranston and Warwick and whatever, they're doing the same thing. So we should try to make a pitch to, to maintain that level of effort, to $300,000, number one. Number two, I always like to, have a funnel. So this funnel represents more than the $300,000, assuming that at some point we're going to have some loss. We're not going to be able to achieve all of the savings in every single thing. Like maybe we won't get any grants, for instance. So there's about twice as much as we need in there. And then as we go through the year, we should have enough fallout that we make up for that $300,000.
Are there any questions from people here in the audience? And we welcome it, Matt.
Matthew Allen, 159 Hope Furnace Road. Can you touch on this special education services that you guys are best practiced? I'm already a little leery because I know some services my kid has been deemed not getting this year, because he's growing, but there are still plenty of kids that still need services.
I'll take that first too, and Rob, I don't want to overstep, but I'll share in terms of, first of all, we are looking at our collaboration and partnership at Northwest. So first and I'll give a kind of brief update. We're continuing to meet and see that to be the same, if not better. So a 2.0 version of that. But as we do look at what we have today, we are, in terms of special ed, we would never have less than is required. And of course, as you know, the services are required by law, so that would not even be a question. But I do wonder if there are other partnerships, as a brief example, that we could consider. So doing things like Brad and I are working with Bradley School to talk about, and Mr. Hassel, can we take a look at bringing in some form of in-house Bradley School? And then you could consider, instead of placing a student out, would there be a way maybe they wouldn't need to go out, but they could instead go to a transition classroom that is actually located in our school? So sometimes, when we talk about like this outplace service, we're paying a large tuition. And so when you have a partnership program, it can reduce that tuition cost. It can also just be better for kids because it's a less restrictive environment. It also gives that kind of middle stepping ground. It is something I have been like privileged to work with before. I came out of a district that had one at the high school and the middle school level. So I saw it in action and selfishly was also able to tap into some great resources down the hall in a room because the teachers from there, were actually from the Bradley School. So that's an example, and it's only one of, what could be many of some, but we're actually having a meeting in the coming weeks. So that's an example of what I would consider a best practice to achieve a more efficient delivery of student services. I also believe, we need to look at the way we provide all consultant services and then look at our internal staff and see how can we grow their skill set. And maybe that's not a possibility. Maybe the consultants remain the consultants, and or maybe not. Maybe we have some level of attrition where we're looking at our internal staff who receive some level of training. And so it's not providing a different service for students, but providing hopefully a better. So for example, if we have some of our paras trained to support some behavioral and social emotional needs, students are still receiving those. And actually, that para is like a member of our staff. And so that training can now be applied during recess, during lunch duty, in other areas. Not only are they, maybe a consultant that leaves with the agency. So those kinds of things are the out of the box kind of thinking that we're trying to examine. I don't know, Rob, if you wanted to share any.
The only thing I look at more of the non-instructional student services. So right now we have our student special ed, student transportation, and there are some cases where we're kind of zigzagging across the town that there's opportunities to kind of just be smarter about how we route the buses and where they're going and that sort of thing. So we're also looking at at those sorts of things for next year in order to, like I said, not affect, not impact the students, and still get all of the services, but to do it in a better way.
Just, can I ask,
Yep.
just to kind of follow up on that? I was listening to great question, by the way, too, because obviously when you say, oh, we're going to hit the special ed budget to make up, but that's certainly not what's being presented. And I just want to kind of touch on a perfect example that Rob just used as far as transportation. Like who wouldn't want more efficient transportation for the kid to go to school, right? It's something that it would save money, but it's also a shorter ride or whatever for the student. But I was just listening particularly, and I know we had gone through some of this before. So we do have some contract services that come in specific to behavioral health or people that are trained in a certain way. And a lot of it is because we don't have people in our own district to be able to provide certain services. But we've had these conversations with budgets before, with not necessarily with this superintendent, but we're paying an exorbitant amount of money. So when we hire a contract service, Mary or Joe that's coming in to do that isn't getting this crazy amount of money. But the company they work for, there's their overhead, their fees, their this. And I think we could probably all agree that and these people don't work for the district, they work for XYZ company that we have to contract to, meet the legal requirements. I think we'd all rather have, instead of paying XYZ Corporation all this money, we'd rather pay somebody a very fair wage internally that becomes part of our Scituate team. And I think that's the example. That's a fabulous example where the savings can really, we're always going to do what we need to do to meet a child's needs, right? Like that's going to be, and sometimes we're doing it through contracted services because we've never been able to kind of think outside of the box but I think like the examples that the assistant superintendent is referring to is a great example of something that would actually enhance the services that we're providing, even while saving us money. So win-win.
My next question to that is, do you honestly think we have enough bodies to fill those positions? And if people keep going out, whether they're sick or whatnot, to make up the difference? Because I know somebody gets the flu in the one building, it can take out a whole classroom and the teacher and the aides that are in that classroom. I'm worried about if you're going to do it internally, do you have enough people to cover? Because I know it's hard to cover when they're out now.
Um, in terms of if we were using, for
You were
example,
using your own people.
I think the challenge with folks coming or staying, from my kind of anecdotal, don't have like a spreadsheet in front of me, but whether it be a consultant or a person on staff, I'm seeing the same challenges. And I'm seeing actually some serious turnover in some consultant positions as well. So I don't know that I can, securely say we're safe in either situation in terms of like making sure the bodies are filled. But I feel like I've had very positive conversations with union leadership, for example, that are excited about some new opportunities. The other example I'll give, and it's not directly related to special ed by any means, but is our Alice example of building internal capacity with instructors and then watching those instructors train the rest of the district in a very successful manner. And so when I think of some of these behavioral skills and supports that need to happen, I would hope that we could have I've been in a district that's done it, that you've had a similar model where you build a couple of strong instructors and then they're helping to help with the staff. I don't know that the success of filling bodies, there is a level, like, of course, of sometimes you call a consultant when you need to. I've had it with visiting nurses. I've had it with plowing. We need to have, so we put out an RFP and we have that backup. And we could certainly do the same in this event where you say, like, just like we do with substitute teachers in a way, So we could have a form of like having the backup if we are dealing with, and it happens, especially during flu season, and this year seems to be dragging on a little bit. So we could still have the substitute that we call, we put out an RFP, make sure that we have that company there in the wings for us, but on a regular basis, lean into our own folk.
Yeah. So you're new to this in but the last couple of years, my biggest thing is bodies. It's good to say I can hold you up to your IEP contract that it is, and John's not here to throw it out there that, it's legally binding, but my biggest thing is bodies. And it's great to say, yeah, we could do them in-house and we could find 10 people to do it or train 10 people. I'm all for doing it in-house. I'm just worried just because it's not somebody teaching English. It's kids that are trained to be with special ed, whether it's behavioral or physical or just need the extra. I'm just worried that this is a narrowed point, like a narrowed field, and a lot of people, you do it for a couple of years and, you might be done with it. It's like a burnt out, I feel like.
I think
Hence the changeover.
yeah, no, and I think you bring up some great points that obviously will, but again, this is not, we're not doing this. These are some of the, no, but rightfully so. I
Yeah.
get it. Your radar.
It's just
stuff.
something in my mind that it's
And-
great to say you can get it.
Yep. But we're not,
Yeah.
these are just things to think outside of the box. I think, an example that that Linda had referred to as well. So yes, would there be cost savings there? Yes, there would be, and that would be accumulated over. But let's look at a different example. And I'm just speaking, I'm not privy to what anyone's needs are or anything, but talking about collaboration with something like Bradley. If we have one student that we've been outplacing, did I say that right? Outplacing, that we're able, first and foremost, if we're able to return them to our district, that's a win right there, regardless of money, right? But a lot of times the outplacement comes at exorbitant amounts of money. So these are just some of the things that we're looking to. Obviously, we always need to do what's in the best interest of kids. And, Linda talking about whether it be through, that was just an example
Yeah.
of something that may happen. So please,
Oh,
I get it, but I don't want you.
no, I just know when parents of special needs kids see that, they're going to ask for more information. I just want to make sure everybody has the information
It's kind of
offering.
I think it's very good that you're asking these questions because I'm not sure how, it's true, under a heading, okay, we're gonna save the budget, let's hit the special ed, but not, it's, Yep.
And I've come up here every time you guys
Yep.
threw that button out there.
yeah, no,
I'm just making sure, like, by throwing it out there, you know exactly that what all these parents may be thinking, and some obviously could need more services than mine. But I want to make sure when you're throwing something out in any of those cases that you have like the knowledge to back it up, and then the school committee has to know what they're getting into. So like I said, it's about the bodies, and like you said, you play the Powerball hoping to win, but let's face it, a lot of us aren't winning the Powerball. So I just want to make sure everyone's bases are covered.
Good points, Matt. Thank you.
You.
Is there anyone else that wants to come up? Is there anyone, he did. Is there anyone, because I can't see, at home with their hand raised? Because I can't see it on my screen in front of me.
Yeah. It's just like,
I'm just gonna see if anyone at home. I think that's what he's trying to find, the screen that tells me. Nope. Okay, so then we can go on to capital budget. If there's no other questions from the school committee as well.
So could we please display the capital budget presentation? I believe it's already open. Thank you very much. So we wanted to, I'm going to pass it to Rob again, but I'm going to just share that this is the FY27 5-year projection and capital request. And just for those maybe that aren't comfortable always with budgeting, this is separate from our projected budget that we were just discussing. But if you think about it, it should support and be married with the work that we're talking about in our projected budget. That makes sense. So I'll pass through and Rob's going to step us through this brief presentation.
Thank you very much. So as Linda mentioned, we've been talking about the operating budget. This is the capital budget. So is the budget for, say, long-term fixed assets. And within this budget, we have our request from the town. So to put forward for the town meeting, but we also have embedded that within the context of our 5-year plan. And because with longer term assets, we should have a plan that again reflects kind of our vision for the department. So go ahead. So the process we used to build this plan was first, again, similar to what we've done with the operating budget, was we met with the various building and functional leaders. We rationalized the needs of the buildings and let's say the facilities needs that would support the educational visions, for instance, like in career tech. And then we distilled that into a list of projects. And then, knowing that we can't do everything at once. I mean, even if we had all of the money, we just don't have the bandwidth, right? There's, not enough people in the department. It makes sense to have enough people in the department, aren't even maybe enough contractors in the area to do everything at once. And so we prioritize the projects based on the impact on students, their safety, learning, the overall experience. And then we projected what capital we would need and what we would have available over the next 5 years to build a plan that marries the, capital revenue. It's not really revenue, but the capital available to the projects that needed to be done. So go ahead. So we have a list of proposed projects. The project budgets are really just, wide estimates at this point. But the main focus is on the buildings and the locations, and they really line up into safety and security projects. For instance, the vestibules, learning projects like remodeling to support learning communities and remodeling to support the growth in the CTE program, and then basic facilities support, roofs, heating, electrical, AV, and so on. Some of the projects that were, you can switch to the next slide, but some of the projects that weren't included were, next slide, please, were we considered, but they're not included in this budget, are things like redoing the playgrounds and that sort of thing. Those may have to wait for later. So then just to present some of the projects, and we can spin through this kind of quick, there's some repetition, but at Clayville, again, we see, and again, this will be some common across many of the buildings, but to redesign the vestibule, the main entry into the building to improve the security, adding visitor ID technology, securing the traffic flow, whatnot, so that we can protect and limit access into the building more securely, to remodel based on to support learning communities. And we anticipate within the 5 years that Clayville will need a new roof, or at least to, the roof is showing some signs, beginning to show some signs of failure. So that would at least need a significant repair to extend its life. Go ahead. And hope we see something similar. The only difference here is the addition of replacing the boiler and the electrical to replace the heating system. As you know, we extended the life of the existing heating system with the installation of the condensate tank last month, or in February. And but still within the 5 years, it makes sense that we're going to have to replace that heating system. Go ahead. North Scituate, again, very similar, with the addition of replacing the gymnasium floor. The gym floor there has gotten some cracks and whatnot in it, and it needs to be replaced. But other than that, the projects are very similar to the other elementary school. Go ahead. And at the middle high school, we would like to relocate the concession stand to be in a more usable um, location adjacent to the field, and then install a press box on top of that, and that would improve the experience for the attendees and allow opportunities for broadcasting and security. We're looking at the potential to remodel for the emerging culinary program. And also we see grants on the horizon and the opportunity to grow the health program. And so it makes sense to lump those together and to have a more holistic vision of what the facility looks like to support the culinary program. And then in the gymnasium, there are dated scoreboards and bleachers, some of which may be older than I am. So we wanted to replace them, support the athletic program. Go ahead. Okay, and then same here. So similar, this is an extension. So same thing. Updating the vestibules for security and learning commons in the middle school. Similar to the Clayville roof, we see the need over the next 5 years to at least do a significant refurbishment of the roof and to upgrade the electrical and the heat. And then in addition to that, I have what we call district projects. So these would be projects that affect all of the buildings or provide a utility for the entire district. So for instance, security enhancements, instead of looking at things like installing a particular security technology like cameras or whatnot at a particular building, we want to take, again, a more district-wide or holistic view to say, hey, what does a security infrastructure, communications, monitoring, public address, cameras, access, door locks, windows, what does that look like on a district-wide basis? And then begin to implement that and build that out. And some of that might mean that the infrastructure in certain buildings might need to be upgraded in order to support that. Might mean that we talk with the local emergency responders to make sure that our technology is accessible to theirs, things like that. So we're looking at those, and then facilities equipment. We're proposing to plan to have a regular 3-year rotation of the capital equipment for facilities, namely the trucks, so that every few years we rotate out one of our trucks. Then over 9 years, assuming we get like a 9 or 10-year life out of the trucks, then that the first truck would be replaced. So that $160,000 is actually spread out over the 5 years, in different periods, different years. This is I know it's an eye chart, but this is a rough timeline, but it shows our prioritizations. You can see the projects that we would like to do first this year. So we know we've started, we're going out for bid on the roof. The proposal, the RFP should be coming to the school committee on the next school committee meeting. And then also the first purchase of the truck for the facilities. Fiscal 27, we're proposing some of the other projects like the Clayville vestibule because it's easy, the press box because that's been on hold for a while, and other exciting projects like the Hope Learning Community. So you can see that. So that kind of gives you an idea of the timeline that we're looking at, and that aligns with our revenue in each year, right? So we build out what we can, then we move to the next year and to the next year. So go ahead. Yeah. Oh, next slide. So with all that said, The line item that we need to, I guess approve and then pass on to the town is what would be our tax funded capital appropriation from the town to the school department. And we currently receive $431,000. We are requesting that that number remain flat for next year, $431,000. And then right now, this 5-year plan is built on the projection that we would request level funding for the next 5 years. So we're requesting your approval that we would propose to the town $431,000 capital appropriation for us. Thank you very much.
Rob, do you have record of what our historic record of capital improvement? Have we increased? Do you have record of what we've asked previously?
Yeah.
Like have we, I mean, I'm not trying to hit the town for anything, but prices, like, you know what I mean? 400 and whatever thousand now is different than, have we historically level funded it, or have we increased by slight amounts, bigger amounts?
So-
Can you speak to that at all?
So, yeah, I spoke a little bit to the town. I have to go back. I did talk with them. I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess. I did, and I apologize. I should have been prepared. Yeah. Have we? So so our thinking was, so I don't have the answer to your question off the top of my head, but our thinking was, and it's not shown in the presentation, that level funding is adequate. I'm going to say adequate for us right now because we haven't spent the last year's appropriation. And even we have carryover from years before that. So the thought was, let's spend, and if we don't spend it, it's not like the operating budget. The capital budget, that the town retains it for us and reserves it and rolls forward. So we have more than 1 year's appropriation that's already been reserved and retained for us moving forward. So it's not until, we get a couple years further that we would, run that down. So, yeah, we could ask for more, but I don't think it would be.
The common sense question, kind of putting it out there, not questioning. And just to reiterate again, I know for many, many years, not of recent, so all of this that they're doing, is we're bundling projects. We're getting maximum amounts of reimbursement back from, we went years in this town without even submitting, which is no fault of anybody sitting here or this town council. So that really has hurt us over this is what we're requesting. When the monies that are returned to us, some between like 45, I think a lot of them up to like 45, 35. Is that with all the bundling? But so anyway, those monies that come back in are not then rolled into the capital budget. Those monies are rolled into paying off whatever. Tell me where those monies go,
No,
please.
no, yeah, so that, yeah, so there, if I'm giving too much detail, stop me, but so there are different categories of like housing aid and reimbursements, is this the different types of reimbursements. But in general, not all of the housing aid comes back to us, but some of the housing aid comes back to us and the reimbursements. And those that do are factored into that 5-year program. So yes, we are assuming, and I may be conservatively assuming, so that those funds or a portion of those funds are coming back into that 5-year program. So some of those. No, correct. Yep, I got you. Yep, no, this is a separate line item, like appropriation from the town.
Chris isn't here to yell at me, but I'm supposed to have my microphone on. So each time we're requesting that money and we're putting it into these projects, some of that money is then being returned to us, other than stuff that's not like bonded or things like that. That's a whole different type of, but stuff like that is coming back to us and then going into our own feed for capital. Okay. And that's what helps that grow as well.
Yes. Yep.
Are there any other questions from the school committee? Or the people in the audience? Or anyone at home? Well, thank you for that. Having heard my question for the school committee is, actually, no, I'll ask Rob and Linda this question. If we were to vote on this tonight, because we can, the agenda allows us to, and now you've done a presentation already to the community where they were not given an opportunity to speak because it was more of like, here's a bunch of information, digest it. You provided all, that one pager for people to go back and spend the last few weeks, 3 weeks, maybe I think it's been 4 weeks to really digest it, ask questions. And we've I want to know if the school committee feels, also, no, let me ask you this. Is it beneficial to you, Rob and Linda, if we were to vote on this tonight, would that extra time, instead of doing it on the 7th, would that extra time be beneficial to you? Does it allow you to move forward quicker and to have answers? Is it better for you if we were to vote on this tonight, since I'm not getting the feel that the community has any more questions or input?
I believe first we'll always take feedback even after you vote. We'll always take we need feedback. We always will listen to folks and have them help make work as that's how we all are moving together with all of this work. Even in the current budget that's well underway and starting to wrap up. I believe it is beneficial for us to know that and then be able to like move forward in a more solid manner. Of course, we would continue to update you. So we're going to be learning things right up until, if hopefully not beyond, July 1. And so we're going to need to
Can we,
back and
can we just,
update you.
just to jump on that, and Erica,
Of
maybe you
course.
want to jump on this, like, let's just talk about the next step. So I know we don't have a lot of people in the audience, and those that are here obviously do know. And thank you to our principals for being here. I know you guys aren't on camera, but we certainly appreciate you being here. So this is our budget. We get to vote on it. And I'm not saying whether we do it tonight or not. And then the next step is, like, I'm just saying, the budget committee, I just want to kind of work through that whole
So,
linear thing. So our
we vote on
viewing
this?
audience.
Yeah, then the next step is the school committee presents it to the town budget committee as a presentation, and then they give us feedback. Not right then and there, but they give us feedback on what their answer to our ask is. And then there may be, or has been in the past, back and forth between us and the town if need be.
Okay, I just kind of want to put it out. And do we have our budget? I think it's in my calendar. Do we have a tentative date for our?
The tentative date is the 13th.
That's when we'll be presenting, hopefully to the budget
The
committee.
town budget committee.
They'll hear, again, that's another public forum where the public is invited to be at to, ask questions, to do anything along that nature as
Correct.
well.
That is also another opportunity.
And then and I'm just kind of just playing this out so everyone's on the same page. We present that night, or Rob presents, and we're there to support him. And then they may come back. We want to give you 100,000 more. We want to give you whatever it would be. We may have to meet again to adopt a new budget. At that point, then the actual budget is brought to the town financial meeting. I just right, like, and the state of that is, I know it's changed. This is
The first Tuesday in June.
okay. And I think it's very clear to say that that's a meeting where the voters speak. But at that meeting, there is nothing that can be, the budget itself cannot be changed line by line. We present a budget as a whole. So if I'm putting a number out there, we
Yes.
have a $1 million budget and somebody wants to make it a $900,000 budget, they can't tell us how to direct that. It would be, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Repeating. But I'm just using that hypothetically, just kind of walking it through for everybody, because it is kind of a, yes, we get to vote on this, but the town actually holds the purse strings, right? Like we need to be good. And then from there, we have to go back to the voters to make sure that they're in agreement with the overall spend of the budget. Correct.
Yeah.
And then we have our budget.
Right.
So April 13th is only, can you hear me?
Yeah.
April 13th is only 2 weeks away, so.
That's a tentative, I mean, sometimes
So I really
It-
think voting on, I think voting on tonight makes more sense. It gives more time because now you're only looking at from the 7th, it's only 1 week. So I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time.
Let me ask, before we take a vote, if we could, if I may, our fiscal expert and our CEO of the district at this moment, how do you feel about this budget? Do you feel as though with that I know you'd always want more, right? But we, in light of, any fiscal constraints and things that are going on, do you feel as though that this budget as presented, we can meet the needs of the district? I asked both of you, so you can both answer.
So I would, the short answer is I'm good. The long answer is this budget was developed, right? It's not Rob's budget. It was developed in conjunction, part and parcel with the faculty, the building leaders and everybody. So this reflects and Linda, this reflects the vision for the district. It's as I say before it, we want to say what we do and do what we say. So I feel that this budget does that and it's an accurate projection of what we think our costs are going to be within
So
the range.
I think that's a key point, and I'll let you have the last word on this, Linda. And again, back to my principles, thank you. I know your job is to advocate for what the needs of your particular buildings are. We have moved this budget process light years from where I started. It used to be, you get this, make it work, and we'll go from there. This is not reflective of this. So I think I know, knowing our principals have been around for a little bit and they know that, they want the best for their students, but they also know that there's fiscal constraints. My guess is what we're presented with is probably not every single thing that they asked for. I'm sure there's been, saying it as nicely as I can, guys, right? Like, mindful of the fact that you are very much aware of what your, the budget constraints are. But you feel as though what we've moved forward is we're meeting the needs to the best of our ability within reason, right? Like we know we have a tax cap. We know it's not going to, and I guess, I don't know if it's appropriate. Should I ask it? Can I ask any? I wasn't here at the last one. So principals, if there's anything you want to
Can ask
add
any.
or say, I don't know. If not, we'll just let Linda talk. That's good. You good? You good? You want to go?
I don't want to ever put the principals on the spot, but they certainly can share how they feel. And I'll say, like, we really developed a goals-based budget, meaning we have targeted certain areas in this budget. So and Lori.
And please, before speaking, Ms. Boudia, I don't want to put you on the spot. I opened this to say if there was anybody that felt there was something to share, but please, by no means, I think
Is
we
it
know each other well enough to know that if you didn't want to talk, you wouldn't be talking.
Can you hear me? Oh, Lori Booty at Clayville. I just wanted to share that I just have to say, stepping into this role as a new principal, the process that Linda and Rob and the rest of the principals came through was like an educational experience. I mean, right through from the beginning to the end, seeing the alignment between our district plan to our school plans, to the budget, to the teacher plans, their professional growth goals, and right from the top all the way through, it's really been a great learning experience for me. And I thank you for that, because I could probably now go through it a little with obviously some guidance, but it was definitely like taking a course, so I thank you all for that.
I think
It's been really a great experience. I can wrap my head around the whole process and I really understand it, whereas I can't say that I have in the past. So
no, wonderful.
it's
And
really
I
been,
think hopefully we're finally getting it right. It's been a
Yes.
process all along,
and
but
that's why there's nobody here. There's no questions.
but
Not that
even
people
at a
don't have
building level,
questions, but
it should be based on what the needs. And again, the Education Empowerment Act, we put so much more on you guys, but
yeah,
it's really,
it's very
you
clear.
guys know what your buildings need.
Yeah. Yep. And it was just a great process to go through, and you can see that it's clear and organized from throughout.
And transparent, right? Like that's what,
Absolutely. And there's just no gaping holes, questions, people questioning it, and it just really is. And we can see that people aren't lighting up the screen and things like that because there aren't a lot of questions.
well, thank you guys for
So
all that you do.
I appreciate that. I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to share that.
If there's nothing else from the school committee, AKA Colleen. Do I have a motion to accept the FY27 operating budget as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to accept the FY27 capital budget as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
8 o'clock. Thank
Yes, thank you both very much.
you.